Everybody Lies: Big Data, New Data, and What the Internet Can Tell Us About Who We Really Are is a book all about the ins and outs of data analytics, written by New York Times bestselling author Seth Stevens David DeWitz. This book's main point is that everybody lies. The only way to get people to tell the truth and to be honest about what they are thinking is through the internet. Some may ask why that is. David DeWitz says, it is because there is nobody on the other side of that search bar. People feel comfortable asking Google all sorts of questions that they would never admit to anyone else. He argues that analyzing this data set creates important insights about how people really react to different things throughout their lives. It provides big data. Everybody Lies is broken up into 3 parts. 1 is about big data and small data. 2 is about the powers of big data. And 3 is how to handle big data with care. He begins the book by discussing the 2016 presidential election involving Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. He talks about how Donald Trump was the big underdog right up until the election day, where he crept right under our noses into the lead. David DeWitz found that proof of his victory was embedded in big data from the internet. The study of Google Trends led him to realize that people confide in Google are revealing what they really think or feel. He found proof in this during Obama's presidency, being he was the first African-American president, and many believed we were living in a non-racist society. The aftermath of his victory in 2008 spiked racist internet marks, leading him to discover the opposite of assumptions being made in public statements. As we dive deeper into his novel, David DeWitz now talks about data science. He explains the methods used in data analytics by talking about pro basketball players and how much their backgrounds and where they come from influenced if they made it into the NBA. Many people believe that the majority of NBA players come from poor backgrounds. However, this is not supported by the data. He discovered that people still lie in anonymous surveys or polls, but do not lie when people type into Google. He found out that the immeasurable amount of data available means that data analysts can perform a big number of experiments without having to actually pay for those complex studies. Big data is very easy to find. Another big part of this book is how there are limitations to big data. The curse of dimensionality is a big problem with big data. New data sets give us more variables than traditional data sources. He also goes on about how you can't use data to make decisions. We can grow fixated on numbers and can lose sight of more important findings. Lastly, he wraps up the book saying how based on big data, a lot of people are not going to make it to his conclusion. A lot of people hardly finish the book when they even start it. He wants us to know that big data is a powerful tool used to discover a lot of things in this world, yet we can't abuse the power. We must be aware of data's limitations so we aren't fooled by discoveries or predictions. Everybody Lies is a really good example of analytics and data. The entire book talks about big data and how it is used to identify certain previously unknown truths in today's world. The book explores many data sets, including data from Google Trends and Pornhub. It also calls attention to topics politics, elections, speeches, effects to racism, finance, horse racing, and even human sexuality. My favorite part of this book was learning about David DeWitz's study with NBA players. This really fascinated me because I play basketball and watch a lot of NBA games. I found it really interesting that most people associate bad upbringings with successful NBA players. I learned that you have a substantially better chance of making the NBA if you were born in a wealthy county. I had no idea that the standards of your upbringing had anything to do with making it to the NBA. If anything, I believe that being brought up in a tough neighborhood and with adversity only made you more adept to achieving your dreams. Especially in making it to the NBA, you need that mentality. This was also my favorite part of the book because it incorporated analytics with the sport that I love. The author found relevant data from the birthplace of each player, how many black and white men were born in the 1980s, how many of them reached the NBA, compared to a county's average household income and racial demographics of a country. The author used all different types of data to come up with one conclusion. He investigated and went searching for all this data involved in this one study.